Guys, today we're gonna talk about the new feature in SCCM 1910, wherein you can have the configuration baselines applied to the device, and in Intune, you can manage the compliance through them. So, if the configuration baseline is not met, you can actually mark that device non-compliant. In my setup, I have SCCM 1910 installed, and I have one Windows 10 device which is called Windows 10 DOM, and it is co-managed. Let me show you my co-management settings as well. The cloud services co-management. So under co-management, uh, only compliance policies have been moved to Intune. No other policies. Device configuration is still with configuration manager, so that means the configuration baselines and configuration items are all being managed through SCCM. And if we go to Intune, this is my device there and it is showing compliant. I have only two compliance policies applied. The first one is the built-in device compliance policy, and the other one is Windows 10 compliance, which is just checking for the minimum OS version. So currently the idea is this, that I have this device which is co-managed. Uh, it's joined to hybrid AD. The identities are synced. As you can see, MDM and configuration manager agent here. So that means it's co-management. The workload, compliance workload has been transferred to Intune and it is currently compliant. But if I go on the device and check the compliance, sorry, the configuration here, I have created a configuration here called cb test.txt present, and if I evaluate it, it shows non-compliant. So let's see the configuration baseline, what it does. So this is just a test one which I created. It's checking for a file called test.txt, and it is checking for that file in C Windows directory. So if test.txt is not present in that directory, this will fail the configuration baseline and it will mark as non-compliant. We see non-compliance count here. And this configuration baseline has already been deployed to the pilot Intune connection, for which my device is already part of. So now I want to have this particular configuration baseline reflect in the compliance policies on Intune. As it is non-compliant in SCCM, so in Intune also I want to mark it as non-compliant. So in order to do that, the change I need to do in this configuration baseline is I need to go to the properties of it, and this is a checkbox which I need to check: evaluate this baseline as part of compliance policy assessment. This is another checkbox: always apply this baseline even for co-managed clients. I did not check it because the workload for device configuration is currently being managed by SCCM, so I don't need to check this. Had it been moved to Intune, then in that case I would have checked it, so that this particular configuration baseline setting would have applied from SCCM. Now we will look at another setting which we need to do. So for that I need to create a user collection for my particular user, which is logging onto that device, which I have created here. So this is the user collection, and I would go to compliance policies, right click, create a compliance policy. And I have already created one, so let me show you the settings. So supported platform Windows 10 64 32-bit. Under rules, let me delete it and create it again. We need to select include configuration baseline in compliance policy assessment. So this is the rule which puts these configuration baselines in compliance policy assessment in Intune. So I need to OK it, and then I need to deploy this to the user collection which I just created. So which I already did, and it has been applied to my user collection. In Intune, we will have to make one change. We will have to create a compliance policy for it to check the configuration baseline items from SCCM. So we'll go to device compliance. We will go to policies. We will create a policy. Give it a name. Check SCCM config baselines. Baselines. The platform would be Windows 10 and later. Action mark device non-compliant. That's fine. Then we can have conditional access to block the non-compliant devices. So this is the setting, require device compliance from SCCM. So this I have to do because my devices are co-managed. So I created it, and now I need to apply it to the device which I have. For that, I already have a collection which has Windows 10 co-managed devices. Hmm. So this collection has my Windows 10 device. I'm gonna save it. So currently, if I go to my Windows 10 device and check in Software Center for device compliance, let's wait for a few minutes till the time it completes. Okay, now it shows that my device is compliant. So now I have applied the policy from Intune. Already my device is non-compliant in SCCM. If I check the device compliance, which I created in Intune, check SCCM config baseline, it's showing not evaluated. So it will take some time to for the evaluation and update the status. So let's give it some more time. Let's try to check the compliance on the Windows 10 machine. So I'm gonna run it, and it's gonna take few minutes. Uh, Let it finish, and once it finishes, we will come back. Okay, now we can see the device is showing as non-compliant, and also in the Intune portal it is showing as non-compliant. So it is showing non-compliant for check SCCM config baseline. Now we are going to create the test.txt file in C Windows and make the device compliant for configuration baseline. So ideally it should show compliance in Intune as well. So let's do that. So now in C Windows, I have test.txt here. In configuration manager, configurations, earlier it was showing non-compliant, so let me evaluate it. Now it's showing compliant. Refresh, so that's good. And now we gonna check the compliance again, and hopefully it should be compliant now in Intune. So let's wait few minutes. Okay, it took around 1 or 2 minutes. Now it has finished. So now the device is showing compliant. And let's look in Intune. Let's refresh it. Okay. So now in Intune also the device is showing compliant. So now we have seen that with the configuration baselines already applied to the devices in SCCM, those configuration baselines, if not compliant, that status could be moved over to Intune. And Intune, uh, one of the use case could be that if the device is not compliant, you can have conditional access policies applied to it to not access resources.